Hi, guys and ladies. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Being an Analyst podcast. This is episode number 14. Thank you for listening to all the other episodes. And on this episode number 14, we're talking about a real question. Is South Africa ready for the fourth industrial revolution? We've had too many keynotes presented. We've had too many experts presenting. But we're actually asking this because it's a conundrum. For those of us that are overworked, we're excited for 4IR. Those who are actually looking for jobs are actually scared for 4IR. Don't worry about the answer in this podcast, because at the end of the podcast, there's a poll for you to partake and have your say. The answer is just a yes or no. Do you think we are ready for 4IR or not? Just listen to the whole of the podcast to hear some of the views that might help you make your decision. All of that just after the theme song. In order for us to guide you towards that final answer, a yes or a no, is a very simple answer. We're going to be discussing 13 things. Yes, I know episode number 14, we're discussing 13 things, but these 13 factors can really help us slice down this question into different perspectives. The first one that we're looking at is the urgent need for human capital investment. Human capital is actually you and I, people. We need to invest in people, especially when you're looking at the skills that are needed. But also, with that being said, we are cognizant of the high unemployment rate. The registered levels are sitting around the levels of the 30th. I'm hoping by the end of this year we don't go to 40%, the registered one, which is always a conundrum to say, hang on a second, we got all these people that are unemployed and we got this technology that we cannot say no to. It's coming. What are we going to do about it? So as much as we had all these reports, they always underscore the critical importance of investing in humans like you and I, human capital. Also, when we go to the second one, is we are looking at the complex unemployment challenge, because not as much as just looking at the unemployment investment, we have a challenge here where people are actually giving up looking for jobs. So if we include those ones that have given up looking for jobs, we're looking at around just over 40%, let's say about 50% of the workforce, people that can actually work, actually have given up on looking for a job in South Africa at the moment. Also looking at that one, going to the third factor, which is immigration of skilled workers. I think this was a conundrum and I presented in our latest, the last time when I was doing a strategy session. And the issue is the statistics. South Africa also estimated that the huge number of people that are skilled, that can actually help us to actually weather the storm of 4IR, are actually migrating out. Lots of people from outside, other countries are poaching them. Why? Because we are cheaper. The rent is weaker. I mean, sitting at almost 20 rents levels. So the rent is weaker. If you're looking for a million, 2 or 3 million rent salary, that translating into dollars becomes actually just over about 120,000. That's what everybody else can afford. So they are coming over that side and they are poaching all this expensive and valuable skill set that we are trying to harness on. So all of that is also another factor, that as much as we invest in these people, as much as the education goes in there, these people, they become easy target to immigrate with all of these skills. I know a lot of people are actually thinking about immigrating. So we need actually a comprehensive strategy to retain people that are professionals. It is beyond us, but it needs to. We have to have a plan in place. The fourth one is the vulnerability of 4IR. So as South Africa, we know that the World Bank took out the report and it said South Africa is one of those countries that are vulnerable. We're gonna be heavily impacted when 4IR starts in full force. Things can start getting automated. People like you and I mean, if language modeling starts to take analysis to another level, and they don't need a human analyst anymore, we're gonna be heavily impacted. And one of those things were highlighted by the World Bank's Human Capital Index figures in 2018. So probably the latest report still highlights more or less the same thing, because not much has changed ever since then. Number fifth factor, we're looking at misalignment between economical opportunities and citizen skills. As much as we can sit here, the other time I was excited around 2020 when they announced that um, WhatsApp is not going to be allowing people to sell on the WhatsApp marketplace. I was like, this is the answer that we're looking for. But as we sit today, 2013, 2014, as we've seen in those years, not a lot of small businesses are selling on WhatsApp. You still send a message, and somebody, whenever they have the test, then they can contact you. So that's still also an opportunity. Despite all of these economical opportunities, the South African skill set still doesn't match up to all that, so we can't take the full advantage and of the potential benefit. We can only tap into a little bit, but not fully into it, like we said earlier on a number three, to say all the people that has got the potential to do stuff are being pushed by international market. So on number five, we are looking at the misalignment between economical opportunities and citizen skills. Going to number six, we have this also problem, huge problem that we're also trying to address. It will answer also number one. It's a lifelong learning and skills stacking. Most of us, when we say, I normally tell a lot of people that I have 7 university qualifications, not just certificates, but proper degrees, honors, masters, and people get a shock because in South Africa, not all of us have got this lifelong learning mindset. That I think I'm one of the weird ones, that we have embraced this lifelong learning mindset, but not a lot of us have taken that one. As long as you have the first degree, a second degree honors, you are ready, you are set. You're gonna become a director or an exec somewhere. You don't want to go on and learn. From that time, you're just learning, studying novels and not academical or embracing new skills. So when it comes to skill stacking, meaning you're a finance person, you're stacking up with auditing, you're stacking up with IT, you're stacking up with another skill, maybe even gardening and interior designing. When it comes to that skill stacking, we haven't actually gotten to the culture that helps us to do a proper skill stacking. So we're still lagging behind on that case. Okay, that lifelong learning and skill stacking, big red one. Number seven, we're looking at the mass skill development project. This mass skill development project will be quite helpful when you're looking at manufacturing. You're looking at industries like steel industries. You're looking at mining. You're looking at probably the brewery area, because that's where, when you have even the car assembly areas that are in the Eastern Cape, Port Elizabeth area, because that's where the robotic arm will probably be, introduced. So when you have to, these big projects, we need a significant investment in projects that targets mass skill development in manufacturing, agriculture, tourism sectors, to prepare all of us for fourth industrial revolution. Even in agriculture, we've seen very nice, interesting videos of machinery that can actually harvest and already does the cleaning of the crop. I don't know what's the proper technicalities, but it cleans the crop, and the crop from there, it's ready to be packed, only being driven by one person or two people max. So all of that huge people that used to be involved do not need to be involved anymore, because now we only need one person or two people to actually take this thing to another level. So it's a huge opportunity. On number eight, we're looking at cultural shift towards reskilling. Like I said earlier on, we still need to stress the importance of national culture towards reskilling. A lot of us, we thinking, I'm an accountant, I'm just gonna die as an accountant. I don't want to reskill, I don't want to learn IT. I feel like IT is a threat, my kids will learn IT. Or we don't want to reskill and become interior decorator designers from our accounting or finance degrees. And that's huge challenge, and it's going to require collaboration across just society, not just the government, but it's a societal issue, this one, that we need to encourage a lot of individuals and sectors to approach upskilling and continuous process much more seriously or much more aggressively, because right now we are still taking our time to actually even think about reskilling. Those people that are reskilling, I mean, I don't know about now, but I remember as we started 2008, started working 2009, 2010, there was a lot of my peers that were, trying to reskill, dabbing into sales, trying to sell like the Amway, the Tupperware, the Avon on the side. And we were always like, ain't you earning enough for you to be dabbing into sales? But it was not about them dabbing into sales. It was them learning the sales skill using either a Avon or a Tupperware product or a Lemogen product, so that they can learn the new skill instead of them opening up a shop. Right now, even if you have the sales skill, it becomes easy for you to open up any other business, because sales is the most important part. Number 9 that everybody else knows, and we are agreeing to it, it's the issue of educational system redesign. Not just, we're not saying it's not the issue of no, it's not up to par or not, but it's actually just redesigning it in such a way that we are promoting problem solving skills, not just dwelling on maths and science, but I'm just saying problem solving skills. I'm a big advocate of analysts that are both quantitative, which is numbers, and qualitative, which is words and feelings and whatever the case is. So only thing else that's important here is promoting problem solving skills. Also to that is computational thinking, knowing exactly what goes into the computer before I punch in the numbers. Another one is multidisciplinary skills that goes hand in hand with skill stacking, meaning that I'm just not a data analyst anymore. I can also do other things. Maybe I'm good in marketing, so I do marketing related data analysis. And systems thinking, which is, when you have a big problem, who are the all that people that are involved in this problem, and how do we solve that problem? So system thinking, as long as we're still lagging behind, we're still going to have a big problem when 4IR comes in. Number 10, we're looking at collaborative approach. Collaborative approach highlights the necessity for um, collaboration among government, private sector, and labor unions. Looking at it that way, because most of the time, what we're going through, we need that tribe voice to come together, so that as we sit in the middle, they can open up for us. The fourth party that can come in there sometime is the academic institutions, because we want to be able to learn what we can do at work, and we want the government to allow us to do what we have learned. A typical example is, if I've learned about how to make a self-driving car, currently I've learned that in university, government has not approved a self-driving car to drive. So even if I have, the license for that, government is not going to be in the party. The labor union might be saying, where you are assembling this car, maybe all the parts are coming from Germany or they're coming from the US. Labor unions might also say, no, we're not going to support this. And it's going to be a huge challenge if I'm just operating on the private sector. Collaboration between the private sector, which is me opening up a business, plus the educational sector, which is me making use of all the research that's just sitting in university. If the labor unions and the government is not coming to the party, whatever 4IR good ideas that we come with are really not going to see the light of day. So we need all four of this, not just the three, but all four of this: government, private sector, labor unions, as well as academic institutions, to come together and help us, find effective ways of implementing 4IR. Number 11, we're going into government prioritization. This is where we are asking government to actually redesign the human capability development ecosystem, where we are linking employees to productive and decent work based on international labor policies. So I think in this case, we are trying to really say it's good for, when we're doing globalization, that the job sector could come down here, but we don't want to find ourselves doing the work that the rest of the world doesn't want to do. But we want to be able to be doing work that has got meaning. For instance, if in the 4IR system, We don't want to have, say for instance, we want the lowest, like we are cleaners of those data centers, but we want government to help us so that we can, when they procure, when we the other countries want to procure our skills, they can sell the skills that are equivalent to that. We also want to be, database technicians and engineers and all of those things that are equivalent to what somebody else in San Francisco would be doing, somebody else in Kenya would be doing, somebody else in probably in Hong Kong or in Japan will still be doing in China, in India. We want to have the same basis. In this case, that's where I think government prioritization will be quite key when it comes to that side. Number 12, we're looking at the role of stakeholders. Yes, in system thinking, I've touched, you have all the other stakeholders all around, but we're looking at, what is the role of all the stakeholders in terms of our implementation. We outlined the specific roles for different stakeholders, and including private sector, labor unions, academic institutions, and we see how can we fast track and adapt 4IR. All of these stakeholders, they have to play a part in a way, not just saying, hang on a second, it's just a collaborative approach. We collaborated and we stopped there, but they have to have a role in playing, making sure that if we're saying academic institutions, you need to start teaching from live presentation instead of outdated books. I mean, maybe it's how it's supposed to be done, but some of because considering that 4IR is not new, it's actually quite old. Some of the learnings might still be coming from 30-year-old books. It doesn't mean that we have to have the latest, fanciest, and the flashiest book in front of you. You might still get most of the stuff from old books. So the last one that we're going to be looking at is the framework. I love most of us that have done research. All they want from me is the framework. So here I'm finishing up with a framework. So we need a framework where we can put all of these things together, facilitated by probably the Human Resource Development Council, and probably that commission that President put together in 2018. I think it was called the Presidential Commission on 4IR, and also driven by the Digital Skills Forum, just to have a clear framework to say, hang on a second, we are the Human Resource Development Council, we are the Presidential Council on 4IR, and we are the Digital Skills Forum. This is the framework that we're going to be implementing when we're taking a general minor and we're transitioning that person into having a role within the 4IR, because you need a framework to say, okay, a minor used to do this, used to take the pick and a shovel, go downstairs and then pick on the rock until you get gold. But if we're mechanizing the whole process with artificial or intelligent machine that can actually sense with sensors and all of those, what will be the role of a miner in a new world? And that is not just the thumbs up to say we're going onto career websites and just apply if you have the skill, but it is an important factor that needs a model itself, a framework itself. So just in summary, they're looking at all of this, we emphasizing the need for immediate and collaborative actions that addresses most of the challenges and opportunities that are presented by the fourth industrial revolution, especially here in South Africa. We can be excited, others could be fearful, but it's our feelings that will make the adoption or the rejection take much longer. But I think it is up to us, like what I've done now, where we are saying, you know what, we're going to dedicate our careers into educating other people about what's out there. Should we fear this or should we not fear it? And even if we're not fearing it, I mean, we're just not sending people into a trap for their heads to be chopped off. We need to be fair and give out a fair representation. We need to be, that clear. So that's the question. I gave you 13 things to think about. And the question is, are we ready? As soon as you listen to this podcast, are we ready to implement fourth industrial revolution right now? Your answer should probably be thinking about, will the rest of the world wait to say, hang on a second, South Africa is not ready, we're not going to implement self-driving car. So now Waymo is already picking up people in San Francisco and them without a driver. You can order a self-driving car on the app and it comes. the government will block that for us for maybe a short while. But just like we know how Uber did it, taxi drivers tried to take it out, but Uber is here, Bolt is here, and many more apps that are here. And Talifani is also doing quite well with Spaza Eats, which is influenced by Uber. But right now, what's going to happen if more advanced technologies are coming through? Are we going to say, hang on a second, we never reskilled and we're going to wait? Or are we going to say, you know what, we're going straight head on? We are ready. We will learn as this plane is flying.